I love a bad review.
Yeah.
I love a bad review because I feel like that means that this is authentic and we didn't ask my mom to write 900 reviews.
Does it come up, Toni, in conversation? Does anyone ever mention it to you?
Almost every time we have a new relationship.
Get out of here. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Comes up all of the time.
Give me an example. What do they say?
A lot of times it's very simple as, hey, I Googled best realtor in Sarasota and you guys came up at the top. I did it 6 different times. You were at the top every single time.
They'll say you're everywhere.
You're everywhere.
You know, they say that being married is a challenge, but friends, how about being married for 20 years, working together for 15 years, and building an absolutely incredible company? That's not a challenge, that's a calling. You're about to hear from 2 former teachers turned real estate entrepreneurs. They are a perennial $160 million a year team hailing from Sarasota, Florida. I am talking about David and Toni Zarghami. Friends, they're going to tell us exactly how to get organic leads from Google and how to master the Google reviews. Now, you need to hear this conversation because as the world moves towards AI, you're going to want to be there when people ask their system who's the #1 real estate agent in blank market. They know the answer. We are going to talk all things Google location services, all things Google reviews, and all things listing and pricing. Friends, this is a wide-ranging conversation. Sit back and buckle up. This is David and Toni Zarghami. And I am joined by dear friends David and Toni Zarghami. Gang, how are you?
Fantastic, Jason. Yeah.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
I'm thrilled to have you. So I ask everybody, everyone knows, I'm going to ask you the same question. How did you end up in the greatest industry in the world? Toni, take it away.
So David and I used to be teachers. I was a 4th grade teacher. He was a middle school teacher.
Stop the tape. No. I had no idea that you all were teachers in the past. You taught 4th grade?
4th grade. And David was a middle school math teacher.
Can we just talk middle school math? So I got a 12-year-old. I looked at it the other day. My friend, between the prime numbers and the this and the that, it's calculus.
I tapped out.
What did they do? And he just needed to buy a giant like Texas Instrument calculator.
Oh, yeah. That's scary.
That's still going on.
When Toni was getting her real estate license, I was literally teaching 6th grade math, and the math was the same. So commissions, percentages, fractions, decimals. Yeah. I was working on it with the 6th graders. Toni was studying it.
He was helping me work on it because, it's fascinating.
So it worked out.
I love that. Yeah. So Toni, back to you. You have teacher hearts.
Yeah, and I think that carries forward in our real estate business, but we love HGTV just like the next person, and we thought, like, maybe we should flip a house. That seems fun. People are doing that. So David joined an investing group. We started kind of buying houses, renovating them, selling them, and got a little bit of the real estate bug and figured, if we loved renovating them and fixing them and selling them, maybe I can do that. But it's a little scary, to give up a thing called a salary and health insurance. So we kind of flipped a coin in a sense to say, well, who's going to get into real estate first?
All right, so you flipped the coin. Toni, you either won or lost, but either way, you become the real estate agent.
Yeah, I became the real estate agent. It was really fun. I wound up joining the office where my real estate school was because I didn't know, any better, and kind of took off pretty quickly. I found a couple of great mentors that let me follow them around and shadow them. Found a great lender partner that helped me understand this business. And I think you taught for 1 more year after that and said, let's go all in and do this together. So David got licensed right after I did.
2 years later, technically.
Do you have instant success?
Looking back, it feels a little bit like we did, but it was all the working, 80 hours a week and open houses every weekend and all of the things. So 17 years later, it feels like it came pretty easy, but I'm sure there was a ton of work that went into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Toni, had that arc, the hockey stick situation, and she tried to keep her other job and, get into real estate. And then, of course, at 2 months in, it was clear that she had to burn the boat and just charge into this thing. And so she did. She went all in, built out some builder relationships. She ended up being on billboards, and she was the top 5 agent in this market that was a smaller market we didn't know at the time. But yeah, so she had great success within 5 years, going from 0 to a very established real estate professional. But then... Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of every real estate story. But then...
So Toni's family had moved to Florida. We were in North Carolina. Our son was born. And we had a vision for raising our kid with a family structure. And we couldn't get her parents to leave Sarasota, Florida. So we were flying down, they were flying up. We had this, what felt in our mind like golden handcuffs of a very successful real estate up, called a practice, because we were solo practitioners.
Yeah.
And so we had to have a reckoning, was like, oh, could we do this again? Could we go be successful in a different market? That felt incredibly scary, because you get a lot of limiting beliefs in your head, like maybe we just were in the right place at the right time and we got a good thing going here.
We can't recreate this, right? Yeah.
Can't recreate it.
Yeah.
So that was exactly when we found Keller Williams. That was exactly when we picked up the first copy of the MREA. And we decided to sell that business there, move down to Florida in 2013 and start from scratch. And we started it with the team model, and
here we are.
Yeah, that's
talking to you.
13 years.
Yeah, 13 years later.
I actually didn't know that part of the story. I didn't realize that this $160 million a year juggernaut that you built, you didn't build it from a giant database because you both grew up in the area.
No, our database was 2 people, my mom and my dad, who were our second clients because we forced them to buy a house with us. So no, we literally knew my mom and my dad in this town. Mm-hmm.
So when you read MREA, because anytime, and I never ask about it, but it ends up coming up in every single interview we do, and I always say, what was it about the book? When you read it, what happened and what was your aha?
When we were in North Carolina and doing real estate, our offices were next to each other, and I had an assistant and David had an assistant, and we just did our thing. And he'd say, "Babe, what are you doing today?" And I'd say, "I have a closing." And he'd say, "Great." Like he didn't know I had a closing. We were not running a business. We were having the same year in real estate over and over and over again. And then when we moved here and we found Keller Williams and read the MREA, it just gives you a step-by-step playbook that no one else told us of how to actually build a business and not have your first year in real estate over and over and over again.
Exactly. And then the thing that happened when we first got here, because we didn't have any administrative help yet, it was just the 2 of us. So I think we got down, it took us 6 months to take a listing. We were burning through cash. It was scary. It was stressful. And it was one of my, I think like our second listing.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this person and I noticed when Toni would have a conversation, she would move on. When I would have a conversation with the seller, I was carrying this thing, and we kind of had some self-realization that you're better at just having these difficult, direct conversations, telling people what they need to hear. I prefer to kind of hold a buyer's hand and, skip through the meadow and, do the warm fuzzy. So we're like, okay, you're a listing agent and I'm a buyer's agent. And the magic, I always tell the story, happened when we specialized. Because, 3 months later, one of us would be on the phone and hear the other one and go like, wow, she's really good, because she went all in on just focusing on her piece of the craft. And I did the same. And that's kind of been the foundation of building out our whole team. And we've gone all in on this beautiful Keller Williams model of how to identify talent and put the right person in the right seat on the bus so that they're going to thrive in their role and be fulfilled by it. And that's been our mission with this team, is how do we get the best, most amazing people doing the thing that they love and are best at. And that's the magic formula.
I love that. I want to stay with that though for a second, David, because when I talk to real estate agents that are coming up, there seems to be listing agent envy, which is there's this idea like I'm less than because I'm a buyer's agent. My whole life should be about becoming a listing agent. Now I want to preface this with, we generate leads for listings. We know that from the book.
Yes.
But buyers and representing them, that's as much of a calling, David, as anything else. And you can make an incredible amount of money.
I think I'm a sole listing agent. I think with much less stress, listings are hard, man. Yeah.
I firmly believe they're 2 different skill sets.
They're very different. Yeah.
We all have ego, and we all like to say, I can do everything. And that's true. But can you go be great? Tom Brady doesn't play offensive line, or didn't, right? World class in one position, not very good at all if you put him in a different position. And I think in our team, we actually talk about aircraft, and we say, if you can fly this airplane, they're a buyer's agent, but you want to be a listing agent, that's like putting you in a helicopter. Like, you still have flight dynamics at play. However, the switches and everything are different, and you really need to understand, do I want to do that?
Yeah.
And I need to stretch my brain in a whole different way. And so, I believe I talk to my team all the time because we do feel that listing agent envy. And we create a path where they can get, we call it certified, just like you fly this aircraft, now you can fly that one. But it's not for everyone. And I remind them, this is not the path. A lot of people will go to it and get certified, and then they'll realize, yeah, you're right. I don't like that. And they'll come back and, play in the space that makes them feel good.
Yeah.
I love it. For the record, I think Tom Brady can play any position on any field in any sport. That said.
That is fair.
Friends, this is the moment. You know what happens on this show. We are about to unpack a model. So you don't have to take the notes. I'm taking the notes. If you're bombing down the highway in a brand new Escalade, which I love the front of the new Escalade Cadillac. You finally got it right. I know you listened to the show because you emailed me the other day. Thank you, and you nailed it. We are going to get into a model. If you don't get the notes, then I need you to go to MREAnotes.com. That's MREAnotes.com. They come out every Thursday as a PDF. Trust me, you need them. Gang, this business is driven by many things, but we cannot underestimate the power of having 946 five-star Google reviews, because that's a big deal. So, Toni, I want to start with you first. Why does it matter, and how does it show up in the actual business, having all these reviews?
Yeah, it's such a big deal on our team, and we spend a lot of time focusing on it because most people, when they are looking for a real estate professional, are going to hop on the Google machine and all of a sudden ChatGPT, and they are saying, who is the best realtor in Sarasota, Florida? And when you can pop up first and show 924 reviews, we get a ton of new relationships into our atmosphere because people already know, like, will trust us because of the number of five-star reviews. People do it for restaurants and nurses and to go get a pedicure. And so when you can show up with that amount of confidence behind you, it's amazing. We also talk to our real estate partners when someone calls in, if they haven't noticed our reviews, we always kind of drop it in like, you may have noticed our almost 950 five-star reviews on Google, because then that new person will go do that and be like, oh, it's such a credibility builder. We spent a long time working on it, and it's been a game changer in the amount of new relationships brought into our world by people Googling us and seeing that. And 900 and almost 950 is amazing. So much of it is about like the differentiation, because if we have 950, but another real estate team has 2,000, it's not helping. But if we've got 950 and the next one has 100, it's a big differentiator when people are trying to find someone to help them buy and sell real estate.
Does it come up, Toni, in conversation? Does anyone ever mention it to you?
About our Google reviews?
Yeah.
Almost every time we have a new relationship.
Get out of here. I don't believe it.
I'm telling you. I know. Comes up all of the time. How does it show up?
Give me an example. What do they say?
Like, is it a new relationship or is it someone that we know?
Both.
Yeah, a lot of times it's very simple as, hey, I Googled best realtor in Sarasota and you guys came up at the top. I did it 6 different times. You were at the top every single time.
They'll say you're everywhere.
You're everywhere. Yeah. That's another thing that we hear, which is great. We are everywhere. And then when you get into relationship with people and it's, your listing conversation, or you've been out driving around looking at houses for a couple of weeks together, like, hey, I noticed your Google reviews. It organically comes up a lot.
Well, and the other place you'll see it is if you read our reviews, people will reference our reviews in our reviews. And so they'll tell the story of how they were searching for a real estate professional. They found us online via a Google or an AI search, and they read our reviews and they felt they could trust us, and then they came in and then they did. And it was a phenomenal experience, et cetera, et cetera. So, that tells a story that people, and then I love that because it reinforces to the next person who's doing their search that, yes, these reviews are legit and you can trust them and you'll be pleased.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well then, David, I want to stay with you on this for a second. I want to talk about the myths around the Google review. Because friends, if you're listening, we've been preaching go get your Google reviews now for more than 2 years. And I know not enough of you are doing it. And I just want to remind you, in the generative engine optimization world, which is how do I show up when someone asks their AI, reviews is going to play a big part. But I think some myths keep people from starting, David. Myth number 1, reviews are great for small ticket items like restaurants and whether I'm going to get the cheese fries. But wealthy people in expensive homes, they're not looking at reviews. Your thoughts?
The data would prove otherwise. We've had some very nice price points that we have here in Sarasota. We're a waterfront luxury community. So we've had some very nice, multi-million-dollar relationships come to us via reviews. So you could follow logic and say, someone of that level of success is going to have their team of advisors and they're going to work that network. And sometimes that's certainly the case. But, there's always gaps. There's always someone that doesn't have that thing or that person, or someone wants information now, and we're just all trained to jump on our phones and search up an answer, and then if the data online backs it up and they feel there's credibility, even people at that caliber of success will trust the resource.
The second one is it's going to take too long. I don't have any today. It's going to take me 100 years to get to 1,000. Toni, what do you tell me?
Well, it might, but when is the best time to plant a tree? That whole thing. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. We started our Google reviews 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, we started paying attention to this, and we're at almost 950 in a 5-year span. Doesn't Gary Keller say you can be a totally different person in 5 years? You can build your Google reviews in 5 years. You've got to start somewhere. And I also think sometimes people that have a good number, they may drop off or retire. So don't feel like it's a game you can't win or something that you can't become first or second or third in, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, if it was a race car analogy, you might not get the pole position right away, but you're going to be picking people off along the way. And that's the nice part, is because there's so many realtors in any given marketplace, adding 5 or 10 reviews can probably jump you past a whole bunch of people.
Consistency.
I love that. The next one I hear is, as soon as I start encouraging people to give me a review, I'm going to get some, even if I'm great, that give me bad ones. I'd rather not take the risk of getting any.
I love a bad review.
Yeah.
I love a bad review because I feel like that means that this is authentic, and we didn't ask my mom to write 900 reviews. They're very authentic. And we had a review come in, I think it was 2 or 3 stars one time. And it's so much more the way we respond to that review. Like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that you had that experience. Our owner is going to call you today and see, so I think so much of it is how you respond to that review. So I think 2 and 3 star reviews sprinkled in there are fantastic.
Or one.
Or one, yeah. Or a 1 star. Yeah, because it shows that you're real. They're authentic reviews, and how you respond matters. We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. Clients are going to be upset. How you respond to those and show up, that matters. I love when that happens.
Absolutely. And
Every now and again.
If you study, the best models of customer service brands like the Ritz, for example, they have whole systems built around when something doesn't go right, when someone's displeased, and then they turn that negative into, they plus it. Not only do they fix it, but they one-up it and make the customer glad that the thing happened.
Yeah.
And so that's our mindset around when one of those comes in. There's going to be a phone call. We're going to have a conversation. There's some interesting folks out there that you come in contact with, and sometimes you can get some very unreasonable stuff. But I think people generally understand that about humans. And so if someone blasts you and they're just sounding unreasonable, and and you have a very professional response that shows that, okay, this professional group is a reasonable group that care about people, but you can't please everyone. And I think people understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, the number one myth and the number one reason people tell us they don't do it, their business is based on SOI. They're getting repeat and referral, and reviews are only for strangers. Do you find that any of the people that mention your reviews are in your database?
Absolutely. I think it's like a gift because people want to brag on you. Your friends and your family and your sphere of influence, they want to say great things about you. So giving them the gift and the platform of where to do that, like, don't make it about yourself and I don't want to do this. Let them say great things about you. I think your sphere wants to help you out more than anybody. So start there. Build your reviews with your sphere. That's fantastic.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And then you're just demonstrating with a plaque on the digital wall that I work with wonderful people who trust me and think I'm great. And there's going to be strangers who are going to be attracted to that. And if you don't want them, send them to us or another agent in your market. Glad to pay you a referral.
It's so good. All right, David, tell me exactly how to do this. I'm starting tomorrow. I got no reviews. Walk me through it like I'm a Cocker Spaniel or a 7-year-old.
Okay. So you need to set up your Google account. You need to have your Google business profile. You need to make sure that that's correct and accurate, and it's got your hours of operation and your correct physical location, your office and your website, some photos. Put the time into setting that up correctly. Then you need to register for GLS, which Google keeps changing the rules.
Hang on,
and the
I'm going back
terminology.
to number one.
Okay.
Stay with me for a second. So I'm going to go set up my Google business profile. And you rattled off a list of things. You said, make sure the address is right, put some photos. Give me the hacks. Like, if you could go back in time, save me the trouble of making every mistake you've seen. What sort of photos do I want to put in? What's important information?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward and simple. You make sure it shows up. I wouldn't put your house, right? It's going to map to your location. If you don't have a physical, we have an office space here that's got its own address, but if you don't, I would use your market center.
Use your market center.
Well, you laugh about that, but I hear all the time from some of my friends at digital companies that it's really difficult to not have a standing place of doing business.
Yeah, it matters. Make sure you use your market center address. Yeah.
Because the minute you use your house, the consumer actually discounts you as a business owner.
Yeah, I drive around in my car all the time, and the screen is showing me, the Google map, and it's pulling up realtor names in these residential neighborhoods, and so I see, Tom Jones with such and such realty, and it's his house.
If you, by the way, I truly believe, and it isn't a knock on anybody, but if you don't have a physical location for doing business that's different than the physical location where you like eat chicken, I think you have a problem if you're going to use the internet and try to do SEO and GEO.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust a doctor that only worked out of his or her house, or a surgeon or an attorney,
I've seen movies about that sort of thing, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
So I set up my Google business profile. It's filled in. I have professional photos. I have a professional business address. I have my professional business phone number. What's next?
Your website?
Of course. Yep. All the credibility pieces so that when people find you via the Google, they say, okay, this is a real business. This isn't just someone doing a side hustle.
Well, and you've spent a lot of time on your business's website. Is there one or two things that you think is mandatory for a website for an agent out there?
I think the key is a clear value prop, a clear call to action, a clear, something that matches. If people are going to Google you or find you or hear about you or see that you're sign in the yard and then they stumble upon your website, does it convey that same message? Is there consistency with whatever that message happens to be?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, love it. I got all that stuff set up. What's step two?
So step two, you're going to register with Google for their GLS program, which is a Google Local Services or Google Local Screened. The terminology changes, but it's basically a process by which you have to jump through a few extra hoops to prove to Google so that Google can say, yeah, we checked them out and they're legit. And it does involve, them verifying your license and some other things. It's not a very difficult process, but a few extra hoops that you have to jump through and wait for some approvals on Google's end.
You're the first person that we've interviewed on reviews to tell me that step. So, and so walk me through, why does it matter whether I just start getting reviews or I'm actually registered with GLS?
Again, so this was a layer that Google added in, where before in the old days, right, you could just type in Google and it would play the sponsor game and
who was paying the most money,
who had the best SEO.
Yeah.
And Google said, well, hey, we can actually do better and we can monetize this better if we tell the public, like, we'll check them out for you and we'll give you the Google thumbs up. And that's what GLS is the Google thumbs up or the blue check mark or whatever you want to call it. And then, of course, Google, there's a payment mechanism where Google monetizes this because as a GLS member, you are going to pay. So you're going to set a budget with Google and say, we're willing to spend X, every time someone clicks here and calls based on you telling them that we were worthwhile.
Well, and friends, this is big business. I was reading the quarterly report. I think it was about $370 billion that Google generated through pay per click last year. So they have this down to a science. I want you to know, though, in my mind, the reviews, Toni and David, the reviews are the key to getting people to click on my GLS so that I start getting incoming leads. Do I have that right?
You do. So a couple of things we've talked about, the hoops to jump through to get on there, that's a positive step, but a lot of your competitors are doing the same thing. And so then Google says, great, well, now we have 500 or 6,000 or whatever the number is in your market of people that we've checked and we give them the thumbs up. So how the heck does a consumer decide or choose? So they have limited information there to go ahead and make their choice. And so a huge differentiator is the reviews, and more important than a raw number is how your reviews compare to your competitors in your market who are also showing up.
Okay, so that then brings me to step three. So I've went and I've set up my business profile. I'm registered and they've checked my blood type and my fingerprints and I'm all good on GLS.
Right.
But
DNA.
so is everybody else that spent the hour doing it. What's step three?
Pump up those reviews as much
reviews.
as you can.
Start getting your reviews consistently.
Consistent reviews is huge. There is another component about GLS which has to do with answering the calls. Google doesn't want to look bad when they say, hey, so-and-so real estate is Google approved, and then they call you and it goes to your voicemail. You
Google does not like
connect
that.
live. Yeah, that actually dings against you. So you need to have a system and a plan in place. If you're going to do this, how do I make sure I grab those phone calls every time they ring?
Also, when you're doing, Google is very smart. If you blast out to 1,000 people, like, oh my gosh, please write me a review, Google's going to recognize you're doing that, and they don't like that either. So you have to organically be getting the same amount of reviews week after week. Our team gets between 2 and 5 reviews every week, which is amazing. But if all of a sudden, I was teaching a class, Jason, and a bunch of people, I didn't ask for it, but a bunch of people hopped on and gave me a review, and Google hated that, and they took away like 30 of our reviews. So it's a bit of a game. So you have to build it consistently and be getting this. If our team got 20 every week, Google would know that and they'd let them through. But consistent, same number of reviews every week will get you there faster than like the shotgun approach of trying to get everyone at one time. Google will not allow that.
That's such a great piece right there, Toni. Thank you very much. Walk me through, because you say pump up the reviews. I love that. Keep in mind, if I'm bombing down the highway right now, I have no idea how to start. I don't know how to ask. I don't know who to ask. I find this weird and embarrassing. I'm going to call my mom after this podcast and ask her to leave me one, but that's my mom. How do I do this and not come off like a giant nerd?
So one of the things that I do is I call all of our clients and I don't ask them for a review. And I think about, have you ever been to Home Depot, which I love, but Home Depot, you get your receipt printed out and the kid's like, here's a link for a review. And they give you a receipt and I'm not going to do that.
You could win $5,000.
Yeah, I'm never going to do that. Yeah. But if I got great service at Home Depot and the person that helped me for a half an hour pick out my new washing machine said, hey, would you mind sharing your experience of working with me? It would mean a lot personally to me. We actually share these at our weekly team meetings. I get a shout out in front. 100% will do that for that person because they added value to my life and because they asked about sharing the experience. So we don't just say, can you send a review? We say, would you mind sharing your experience of working with Zarghami Group? We talk about these and we show them every week at our team meeting. And I'd love to be able to share your great experience of buying a house with us and also shout out our agents that helped you through it. And so asking about the experience is huge. And we just have a link we send them. So we've made a link that we text them. It goes directly to Google. It makes it they don't have to go find it or take extra steps. Text them the link. They just click and spend 45 seconds.
Okay, well, the link is a key piece of this because if you just tell someone to go give you a review, it's like an 8-step process that involves even searching. So, David, walk me through this quote unquote link. How did you build it and what does it do?
Oh, it's the easiest thing in the world. So yeah, you're right. The process with Google is they have to Google you, find your Google My Business profile, click on it, scroll down to the right spot, click that button to leave a review. And then that brings up the image we all know, which is the 5 blank stars where they click how many stars they want to fill in. And then there's a blank text box. They don't have to type anything, but we'll come back to that one because it's important that they do. So we just took that URL, which is a big, clunky, ugly thing, and we just bought a vanity domain. In our case, our team is Zarghami Group, so it's zgfeedback.com. So but we don't even ask people to write, we don't expect them to remember that, so we'll just text it to them. And like Toni just said, she'll say, as soon as we hang up, I'm going to text you a link. You can click it in. So it's literally 3 clicks. They click that link once, it's the stars and the text box, and we make it as easy as possible. The one caveat is Google has to know who they are. And so they have to be registered. Most people these days seems like have a Gmail account or something. But once in a while, you'll come across a person, they're like, oh, I don't have a Gmail, Google. I'm not in Google's system. And then you have an opportunity to help them advance their technological prowess.
Are you leaving us a review right now?
You can't. The world can't see because of the white backgrounds. But I'm giving you a review as we speak. So as soon as I typed it in, gang, for all of you watching, this was easy. I typed in, and then it brought up the 5 stars. I then have this little text box. Why does it matter as I'm typing in the text box, David? Why does that matter?
So people don't have to leave any written text. If they're just being quick and they're, she asked me nice, I'll do it. And they hit your 5 stars and it goes in. It counts for your raw number. Google will say you were at. David,
it's letting me add a photo, so that I had to use. That's the photo.
I wish you're watching. That's for you guys driving down the road. This is the best.
Yes, and so a review with just stars and no text description will bump up your number. Yes. So it's positive. When we get these on our team and we joke about it, because it's always a little like, wah, wah, they couldn't say anything. But it still helps. We'll take them. It just bumps those to the bottom of the pile. And obviously Google's not going to show those to people. But it does help your number. So it's better than nothing. But like Toni described, asking them, people don't quite understand what a review looks like. They don't necessarily know that it's helpful for you to explain all the things that your agent did to get over all these different obstacles and challenges. They might think that's wasting time and energy. So we love to lean into that and say, please share your experience. And sometimes you can prompt them a little bit. Would you mind mentioning about the
low appraisal we worked through?
The low appraisal or the credit that we got or the way we handled this or that? Because you can coach them up a little bit. And what we find is you get gushers. We have people that will go on for paragraphs. And not every client that we work with is as articulate and verbal. And, sometimes you could do an awesome experience and they write, Sarah was cool, and then you're like, okay, we'll take it, thank you. And the next person will go on for 4 paragraphs about every single detail that Angie did in helping her with the process. And so I always remind my agents, like, don't read too much into what they choose to write or not, because they have different, personality and communication styles. But we want to prompt them to be a gusher as much as we can.
So I posted my review with a photo of me here, right? But as soon as I did it, now I'm looking at your reviews, and I'm the newest one. By the way, I just gave it a heart. I thought it was brilliant. I wrote, these guys are the best. They crush it in every way and wake up every day and only work to get better. But the minute that I submitted it, someone commented on it, on your team. Like, this is incredible. Here's what it says. Hey, Jason, thank you so much for the enthusiastic review. Your kind words mean a lot to our team. We're always striving to improve and give our best every single day. We truly appreciate the support. Oh my gosh. Number one, how did that happen so quickly? And does that matter?
Yes, it does matter, because when you leave a review and then someone instantly, or I think it's within 24 hours we work to do that, will pop on and say thank you. That means a lot. And so yes, we respond to every single review. And another piece too is, if you are a team leader that is listening and you have a whole market center, I would encourage you during your team meetings to ask your agents to send in there and do a segment of your team meeting where you are sharing the reviews, because then what we do is we take a picture of it on our iPhone and I text it to my client and say, Jason, thank you so much for this review. We shared it in team meeting. This is amazing. If you're a team owner like we are and you do your own team meetings, it's such a big part of our meeting. Everyone cheers and claps. Our agents get all like, oh, it's such a culture builder to be sharing these. It's amazing.
And I would encourage you to think of this whole Google review system as a person watching, like if someone just came to your office and sat there quietly and just watched you work. How do you interact with people? How do you communicate? When something's great, what does that sound like? When something doesn't go well, what does that sound like? And that's why the responses matter so much, because the majority of them are really positive, and you can say, but you still take the time to acknowledge their experience and thank you for that feedback. It means the world to us. And then, of course, sometimes, like you mentioned, what about the person that goes on and blasts you for this or that? That is an even better opportunity to show the potential customers, clients of the future, how you respond when something doesn't go smoothly. Yeah. And that matters so much.
I think it's brilliant. I love it. So I'm setting up my Google business profile. I'm registering with GLS. I'm making sure that I'm now consistently every single week getting reviews, not like a huge blast and then a drop off, but consistency. I'm replying to every review within 24 hours. And then I'm highlighting the review to the person who left it and giving gratitude for them doing it. Is that it?
You nailed it.
Got it.
It's really it.
Yes.
It's so simple and such an amazing step to build culture, to build credibility, to share with your clients, because now you can share back gratitude. It's amazing. GLS and Google reviews are amazing. We're so passionate about them. Favorite part of my team meeting.
Love it. Let's talk math. So you mentioned that as people click on your GLS, they click on the little phone icon, your phone rings. Talk to me about money. What do these things cost?
You answer the phone.
Right, and you answer the phone. What's the range? Because I know it changes every day and it's going to be different in every market, but can you give me any sort of guidance?
I believe in our world it's something like $40 to $60 a phone call. But those are... remember,
hang on a second. $40 to $60. I mean, I can buy like 70% of a new Nintendo game for that.
You could almost get there.
This has to be incredible. Because people will say to me, Jay, I'm buying internet leads on my CRM at $8 a piece, but the quality's not the same, David.
No, our team trips over themselves
to answer these
phone calls. Because think about what went into this phone ringing. A human had to go and say, all right, I don't have a real estate connection that I trust and like, so I'm going to ask Google, the next best thing. Google, who's good in this area? But they're in real estate agent search mode. So many of our people are in house mode and we have to intersect with them. But in this case, they're looking for a human agent to represent them and guide them to buy or to sell. We get them for both sides.
Yeah.
And they've done their research. They've found their way to us. They've read reviews and they've decided to call. And so unless we cuss at them on that initial phone call, which is not in our policies, it's ours to lose. They're yours so you've already got the credibility because they called.
The conversion rate on these is insane.
Fantastic.
Give me a number.
Oh, 80+%. I mean, the only reason we don't is that they're not actually going to buy or sell.
Yeah.
Or, you do get a mix of some silly stuff where they were looking for a painter. and I don't know why that happens sometimes. And Google will, now that they have AI, they'll listen to the call and they'll strip it out, and they won't charge you for that. But listen, Jason, we have our credit card with Google on wide open.
Take as much as you want.
Yes, there's no budget, and I encourage, and that's an important thing too, is take as much GLS as you can get, because there's such gold, and you're limited by the flow of searches in your marketplace, and so that's that in our position, we couldn't buy enough of these.
A little secret sauce too, Jason, is that when a GLS phone call comes in, it rings our agent partners on our team. It doesn't just ring my phone or David's phone, because it has to be answered. So the way we have it set up is it rings our partners that are available to take those calls, so we make sure we answer them.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. All right, I want to switch gears. Toni, in 3 minutes or less, the world is changing. The market is changing. There's less deals happening. There's more deals falling out. You're a listing agent. Talk to me about pricing strategies. How do you explain it to a seller?
With a lot of care and a lot of candor. I think a lot of our sellers in our market, because our market is down, prices are down, inventory is the highest that we see it, they think the market is different than it is. So you really have to know your data, but you cannot just throw data at their face. They have to know that you care. So much of it is in your delivery of this. But one of my favorite things I've been doing lately is you go through your market analysis and you see that there's 3 active listings at $550,000. There's 2 pending that were listed at $500,000, and there's 4 sales at $475,000. Market value is $475,000. So when your seller wants to go in and price at $550,000, you calmly and pleasantly say to them, I get it, Jason. I understand. We definitely want to get you top dollar for your property. From what actual buyers in today's market are paying is $475,000. You'd like to price at $550,000. That's a $75,000 difference. So help me understand. You know your property better than I do. Help me understand how your property is $75,000 more in value-adding features than all of these that we just reviewed.
It's elegant, and yet I still know that some people are still going to say, doesn't matter, that's where I want to price. How are you talking to your people as the house sits on the market?
Here's my least favorite part of my job is Tuesdays, because every Tuesday I call my active sellers and have a conversation, and I hate it because they want to know, what am I doing? Why am I not selling? It's my fault somehow, just because I'm the closest to it and I'm the real estate agent. So what's really cool about our Tuesday calls is we send them a new market update and say, look, 3 of your neighbors went pending, but they were listed $25,000 less, or they had just done a price adjustment. So so having that, what your neighborhood is doing, is really important. And then a little bit of the takeaway too, like Jason, I understand that you want to sell at $550,000. What's our plan B if the market is not strong enough to get you that number? So asking about plan B is really powerful. And it's not if I can't get you $550,000, and it's not what Toni thinks it should be listed at. It is always, if the market is not strong enough to get you that number, what's our plan B? I think we need to be talking about it. I start that on week 1 of being active on the market. We start talking about plan B.
You know, Cody Gibson, who is the president of the Keller Williams coaching company MAPS, it's the largest one in the world. And what he said the other day, he said every single home is either priced to sell theirs or priced to help everybody else sell.
Ooh.
I am going to use that. Can I say one other quick thing? I know you gave me 3 minutes, but we talk about being, as in the shift book, being on the market or being in the market. So Jason, we've gotten 20, thank you. We've gotten 20 showings. We have not seen an offer. The marketing's working. We are on the market. What we need to do is we need to adjust to get in the market to be one of the 400 contracts that our market writes every single week. So we don't need to be on, we need to be in.
Not one of the 300 homes that expire and come off.
And not one of the 300 that expire every week. Yeah.
David, how long have you been in the industry?
It's been 15 years.
And how long have you both been married to each other?
We're coming up on 20. Yeah.
Okay, I knew that's how the math was going to play out. So here's my question for each of you to close this out. You are, in my mind, and I have been an admirer of yours from afar, and then I was lucky enough to get close. Your relationship is an avatar of a model that I think the world needs. The way that you show up for each other, the way that you love each other is so big. David, how do you do it? What's the key to building a life together and a business together and not killing each other?
Oh.
We haven't figured that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We've gotten much better.
Yeah, give me another 20 years.
We've gotten much better at it.
So here's the deal. It's hard to be in business with your spouse. It's also my favorite thing. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And, you know, as much as there's friction and challenges and stress, outside this office, our 2 kids are running around because it was important that we had them here with us to experience this today. And we're just so aligned in them being our North Star and our family being our North Star. Our mission on our team is moving families forward. And that started when we were teachers and trying to have our own family. Mm-hmm. And the real estate became the vehicle to help do that. And now we're so blessed to be able to help people on our team as well as our clients and propel them forward. And so, it's all just this personal growth journey. I'm trying to be better. She's trying to be better. We're trying to set that example for our kids that we do hard things and we fail forward. And, that shows up in real estate. Real estate is just the vehicle that we're so lucky to play in.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're just really aligned on let's do hard things together and good things will come from that.
Thank you for saying that. I love you. I think there's 2 things I want to add on to that is early on, we discovered our strengths, and David and I have 2 very different roles on the team. I think when you're working with a spouse or a partner and you're both doing the same thing, that doesn't work as well. Define your role and move forward in that. So staying in our lanes has really helped us. And then Jason, one time, I will never forget this. It's a good story. I made a mistake and it cost our business $8,000, and it was about commission, all the things. And he kind of got on rightfully so, as the CEO of the company, he kind of got on me about it. And I started crying because what I heard is you're a terrible mother and how dare you. And I was taking it all on as a human. And so I went into the parking lot and I am crying my eyes out. And David texted me and he said, your husband is coming down to get you. It's going to make me tear up. Not your CEO, not that I'm mad at you about this 8,000, which he rightfully was because it was my mistake, but your husband is coming to take care of his wife that's upset. So we have learned to have business partner conversations that are very different than husband and wife conversations. So when one of us does something in the business, that's a business partner discussion, argument, whatever. It's very different than our relationship conversations.
That's so good. It's so good. Friends, we are not going to do better than that. Gang, David, Toni, thank you so much. I love your hearts. I love the way that you treat each other. I love how purposeful you are about your family. And I love the business you've built. And I have 946 other people who think the same. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much for having us. This was fun.
Yeah.
They're so in love. They are so in love. By the way, if you're not watching this on YouTube, I get it. You couldn't see, but every time Toni starts talking, David starts smiling. That's why I was laughing about it the whole episode in my head. They're in love, but they're incredible entrepreneurs in love. When they lay out this model, simply set up your Google business profile. Make sure that it links to a business address. Make sure that it has the photos. Register with Google GLS. Kick this thing off by getting a ton of reviews and build it consistency. Reply to every review within 24 hours and then highlight how you're using the reviews and send them to the people that gave them to you. It sounds like an easy model. It has never been more important. The data shows that people are more apt to read a review and do what it says than listen to a trusted friend. That's amazing. And unless you're one of those people that think the internet is like a fad, like it's going away, you need to get on board. You think you have time, you don't. You know how I know? Raise your hand if you use Google anytime in the last week. And now that every hand is up on the treadmills out there that you're running on, ask yourself, why? Why have I not been doing this from the start? What am I waiting for? Unless you're getting out of the real estate business in the next 6 months, you need to start doing this today, not tomorrow, today. Go for it and do like it.